All right, hello everybody, and welcome back. We are going to be getting into game 3 and 4, of course. I'm Scriv. Joining me is going to be Jamada. I'm very excited to get into this one. I think it's going to be a real interesting game. So we're straight into the champ select here, so no faffing about. It's Viperio up against Bulldog, as you can see. Two teams that are gravitating towards that bottom half of the scoreboard at the moment of the standings. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, which team comes out on top and which team can start to move away from the bottom and kind of have a good shoe-in for playoffs.
Yeah, definitely, and Viperio definitely struggling more out of the two. Yet to actually grab a win so far in the split. Looking to change that today, hopefully for them, but Bulldog, they are a little bit of a formidable opponent. Still towards the bottom end themselves, but can't exactly underestimate them. They do have a relatively okay early game, so Viperio are going to have to look out for that one. But picks and bans well underway. Bard, Felios, and Karthus all in the bin so far. And Lucian's going to join them.
Yeah, indeed. It will be interesting to see here. I've not actually had the chance to cast Bulldog yet, so excited on that front. I think, like you say, a relatively good start to a lot of games, but struggled to kind of close it out, I guess. It's a little bit of a weird one. They have had some of the tougher opponents, I think, as well in the first few weeks. Yep. So there is that to consider, and now that they come up against teams that maybe you look towards, that you think, in terms of standings at least, you think they might be able to give them a good run for their money, we'll now see whether they actually can perform well or not. But either way, into the actual picks now, where it starts to get a bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely, and first time today, Syndra's been banned from red side, so we won't see a Syndra first pick from Bulldog this time out. Interesting to see what they'll do with a Felios and a Lucian ban. Senna's not really like the greatest AD. Yeah, there you go. MF. I was alluding to it, but they beat me to it. Expecting the MF to come in at first pick. Not too shocked about that one, but Ornn has slipped through the bans, and with Braum down, I would imagine that gets locked in. I don't see too many worlds, especially as well. We are on live, so it's 10.4. This is the really powerful Ornn, and double engage, Jarvan going to be paired with it, so Viperio comp so far looking pretty scary.
Yeah, there's also taken that Jarvan away from the MF wombo combo kind of thing. Maybe in a way this Viperio, first pick phase actually looking towards what Bulldog are trying to do and maybe carrying it a little bit. Like you said, that Braum being taken out maybe alludes from their side that they want to pick the Ornn up. Although again, with the MF in there, like Braum's a pretty big one against her as well, so I quite like this so far. The Gragas coming in, certainly, I think, workable. It will be interesting to see something that Doctor said in the first two games, is that we're seeing a couple of the tankier champions go back towards the Runic Echo's Sunfire build that Gragas was known for a few seasons ago. So maybe Fortel is pulling a bit of that and hoping to, try out this sort of newer, yet older, obviously all these changes coming in this patch. Little bit of theory crafting going on, perhaps.
Maybe so, but Gragas has definitely been a champion that, despite the older changes to Cinderhawk, which made him go into Runic Echoes more commonly these days, he's always just tended to go AP. So you're alright. Maybe we do see the full sort of like AP into tank, but typically with Gragas these days is just straight damage. But Ezreal is the third lock-in here for Viperio, so looking to maybe potentially yield the bot side into MF. Does have a pretty rough time. Can be a little bit dependent on the support matchup, but MF is definitely going to have the better end of that matchup. Getting into the second phase of bans though, Thresh taken away, as well as Diana from Bulldog's end. Looking to take away more teamfight options from the side of Bulldog, that Diana, so I like the direction of the bans thus far. I would imagine with the Thresh ban there, they're probably gonna remove maybe someone like Norlis or Leona. I would expect them to probably go towards Leo in the second ban, but definitely another engage support is what I believe will be on the cards. But Senna actually taken away here, and I wonder if Bulldog are gonna be tempted to leave the Yuumi open, because it is a pretty powerful pairing with the Ezreal, and with the LB ban down, Rapid Lex could look towards it. I think it's a pretty powerful pick with what's down right now.
definitely seems to be putting a bit of pressure on the mid lane at the moment. I seem to remember Vixen, I'm pretty sure, has played like Xerath every week.
Yeah.
So that's still available. So I'm not quite sure, what kind of the thought process is there. The Leona actually going to be taken away, which with the Ezreal is a bit of an odd pairing, right? You've got quite a good lane-based support. I suppose as well she's pretty good into the team fight, but like, I don't know. How do you see this one shaping up with the Ezreal? Like you say, the AD pick means that you're kind of just going to chill and yield the lane itself, but then picking the Leona's a little bit of the opposite of that, would you say?
Yeah, a little bit of the opposite of that, and especially when they've already got 2 engage tools inside of the Ornn and Jarvan. It's a little bit surprising that they decide to pair the Ezreal with Leo, but it is their choice at the end of the day. And I'm hoping, I mean, out of every week, you mentioned Vixen's played Xerath just about every single week thus far, and I've been really critical of the pick, to say the very least. But here is actually one of the few spots where I think it wouldn't actually be too bad. So I wouldn't be too upset to see it this time out. But Yuumi actually snagged away by Bulldogs on this 4-5 pick, as well as Orianna.
Really interesting. I think both these teams, rather than being like, right, here's our game plan, here's what we're going to go for, they're trying to like play the mind games and read into their opponents and then be like, aha, we've stolen it away. So little interesting to see, for sure. But maybe the thing is, I can still see the Leona and the Jarvan is a pretty decent kind of support jungle pairing, but then it's like Jarvan's probably not looking to go towards that bot side early on, so they're very much, I suppose with the Ornn and the Cassio now in there, they're very much looking to play around the team fight here on the Viperio side. Yeah,
the only thing I'm kind of worried about for Viperio is like the early damage. I mean, Cassio can definitely pump it out, but without the tier, she's not going to really do too well in a really prolonged fight situation. I mean, actually, both the carries on Viperio are tier champions, so you're really going to be looking for things closer towards the 20-ish minute mark. So Bulldog definitely have a lot of room to make some plays around these 2 lanes. I'd expect Gragas to be quite active, specifically around the mid lane, just try and free up the Orianna. The Ori can have a little bit of a tough time in the Cassio matchup. I mean, it kind of goes both ways in this mid lane, but with the Gragas into Jarvan, they probably have the more favorable 2v2 in those 2 matchups, but I have to see where Bulldog put their priorities in terms of jungle pathing and see if anybody gets funneled more of the golden attention the earlier stages of the game. But I definitely feel like they've got more priority in this early game.
Yeah, for sure. It's certainly like weathering the storm for Viperio for a little bit. And there's an awful lot of potential for that Gragas, the ball delivery, just kind of if he gets into a position where he's quite strong and people don't really want to go near him, and then you've got this Orianna speeding him up with the threat of the shockwave, there is a chance that, a steamroll is maybe on the cards if they're not careful on the Viperio side. But obviously they've picked this, they know what they're going for, and they will perhaps, have to just play around Bulldog in the early game and maybe concede some objectives, and things like that, and not really go too mental.
Yeah, I definitely do agree.
The stats at the bottom.
That's at the
0% win rate.
Jarvan's not had the best of times in UKEL thus far, but I like this look from Viperio here, this draft. It's very, very polar opposite to what we've seen in previous weeks. They've gone traditionally so far for these kind of wacky early game comps where there's not too much synergy between the mid and the jungler.
Yeah.
Item spikes don't really bridge each other, so I like this look. It's definitely closer towards a later game comp for sure. But I'd much rather them put their money in the late game purse per se than try and go all out in the early game, lose, and then sort of slowly roll over come the 28-minute mark, give or take. Have to see how they decide to execute.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Joe. So apparently we are just waiting on the final player to connect, which is why we're a little, obviously spending some time seeing our lovely faces here. But yeah, I think it's certainly interesting, isn't it? Because Viperio, the previous splits winners, as I've kind of said every week, and it's like, okay, here we go. Maybe now they're going to do something a bit different, and they've kind of just kept trying to force the same old, pick and ban, the same old draft, particularly through the past few weeks. And now that we're coming into, kind of past the halfway mark and everything, it's like, now you've got to start and change something. You can't just keep forcing it because it clearly isn't working. So it is good to see that they are being a bit proactive and they are taking some initiative and doing something that may well be a bit out of their comfort zone in previous weeks at least, but hopefully over the past 6-7 days have worked out a bit of a different technique, a bit of a different strategy.
Yeah, exactly. You never really know what goes on behind closed doors in scrims and practice, so for all we know, Viperio could have been practicing comps similar to this for the previous week or so. Definitely going to have all eyes on the mid jungle for this game. I feel like a lot of the meta in League of Legends at the moment is based around the mid jungle.
Yeah. Well,
Very
the
important.
whole kind of your mid can just outscale the whole team, and then as Doctors kind of alluded to, that I think a lot of people agree with, jungle difference. Although
The classic.
a bit of a meme, it kind of is applying more and more so at the moment, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it does, truly, and particularly on the slightly older versions of jungle, just previous to the jungle XP buffs, I mean, junglers felt really, really bad if you ever fell behind. It only really took one misstep, especially in competitive, where chances can be far and few between. But a little more leeway in ganking and making mistakes now on this patch. But I feel like junglers, like myself, will have a lot of PTSD from playing comp. Being 3 levels down at 25 minutes. It's not the most enjoyable thing in the world.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll see here. Interesting to see the Gragas. Seen this picked a couple times, I think, across the UKEL and other places where you can go the Hunter's Machete. Does make the sort of, solo camp clear a bit easier. So we'll see whether that does affect the speed at which, and the HP at which he has when he reaches level 3.
Yeah, and interesting. Viper's trying to just go buff to buff.
Past the ward.
Yeah, it didn't walk over the ward, but oh boy. Alright. Give it to me.
Yeah. Think maybe just going to have to kind of leave this one back off. But obviously this is going to be much better for the Gragas because Viper kind of has to leave and he's just wasted a bit of mana. They know where he's at.
Yeah.
And he's miles away from, any of the camps and things like that. So it's going to slow him down slightly.
Yeah, definitely. A pretty big loss for Viper, in my opinion. Is going to even have himself spotted out on the Raptors, so Bulldog have full information on the whereabouts of J4. We'll know that he's going to be on the bot side, and I mean, Bulldog bot lane don't really mind too much there. Kinda just babying a wave in front of their tower, so likelihood of them dying to a gank pretty low right now. As Gragas just gonna reverse clear back down towards bottom lane. He has no reason not to match the Jarvan, so gonna take camps as he pleases and end up on the same side. As you got a brief look at the top lane.
So how do you feel? I've seen an awful lot of this, Aatrox getting picked into the Ornn. Is it a strong matchup for Aatrox, or is it just kind of
yeah?
Aatrox
So
just fits in well?
It's a bit of both. It's a matchup that Aatrox doesn't really lose for a really long time. He just has control over the lane. As the game goes longer and longer, as trading comes through, you see the trades are typically a little more positive for the Aatrox. The Ornn can definitely find favorable trades if he picks the correct windows to open up, but Aatrox is really comfortable in a lane like Ornn where he shouldn't really be at the threat of ever getting solo killed. And he kind of just sits there and scales up for free in the grand scheme of things, but Ornn is pretty comfortable doing that too, so it's sort of like a handshake where Ornn just soft loses the matchup early on, but you're not always picking Ornn just for lane. Realistically, you're picking him for the items that he, of course, graciously gifts over to his team later on in the game. And there's actually a lot of strong Ornn items for him to hand out, actually, as trade. Going a bit sideways.
Yeah, it's getting a bit interesting, isn't it? To be fair, you say it's perhaps not strong, but I think the thing is, Kara's maybe playing a bit more aggressive, a bit more confidently, because he does have his jungler nearby, and this may well be the first blood. The flash going in, return flash from the Ornn. That's a bit nasty from Fortel. I think he was obviously trying to get the flash done and just undershot it slightly.
No, it was actually the Ornn Bellows Breath. It stops him from being CC'd, okay. So
of course
Fortel actually just flashed a little bit too soon. I think he was trying to time it with the the end of the cast, but he doesn't actually end up getting the stun. But at the end of the day, I don't think it would have really gotten them the first blood, to be totally honest with you. I feel like Fat Wambo probably would have been able to have flashed away on the back end of the gank, but definitely going to hurt DPing out at this timer. The grand scheme of things, in the Aatrox lane, he's comfortable. He's chilling up there. Doesn't really have too much to do, so not too much jungle interaction from Viper on the other side though. Hasn't really shown his face, I believe, in lanes. He did manage to actually pick up Fortel's bottom side camps for his gank onto Fat Wambo, so Wambo does lose out a little bit. As you can see, he's down about 2 camps. That's not the most exciting early game in the world.
No, I think particularly with that Jarvan being seen, right, it's like he can't really go for those early level 3, level 2 even engages onto a lane, because everyone's fully aware of where he's at. They're instead going to go for an early Drake, which is fair enough. I think, you know, obviously there's a lot of conversation about conceding the first 2 and things like that, but if you can get a super early Drake before even the rift comes up, it's like you can't trade it, right? Because there's no objective there. So it's nice to have in the bag, I suppose.
Yeah, and I've been pretty openly anti-early dragon for a few weeks now, but when dragons are taken like that, where it doesn't really come at the cost of anyone's base timers or any cost of tempo, dragon takes like that, absolutely fine. Fortel is actually going to sneak away the Krugs on the top side. I think he got the first spawn as well. And I like the pan here. But I mean, I don't feel like Wambo's in too much threat of a 100 to 0 dive. He is on Ornn, but Kara is just slow delivering this wave. He knows his jungler is in the area.
Well.
Yeah, and Fortel actually gets spotted out, so full information on...
He just likes doing the Krugs, man.
Yeah, he just likes the Krugs.
You know, he's just after the extra gold, really.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually kind of surprised that Fortel didn't decide to stick around and try and contest the red buff or poke his head in. He has full control on the top side from Kara, so more missed opportunity in my opinion, but maybe just happy to sort of scale up as Viper finds the ruins of his Krug camp.
Unlucky.
You hate to see it.
It is a sad time. It is a sad time. I think he knew as well, right? Because it got pinged. Fat Wambo saw him walking away, but he's just autopiloting, you know?
Yeah,
on his Jarvan, trying to get
just
the
autopiloting. But on the scaling side of things, to be fair, I feel like Viperio are kind of comfortable with this game state. If it's to stay like this for the next 3 to 4 minutes, transitioning into the mid early game, they're going to be pretty fine, right? Remember, they are the double tier scaling comp. They have the front line. They've got, well, trio engage. So honestly, they're happy with this game state right now. Whereas Bulldogs, I don't feel like they're necessarily under pressure either. They do, of course, themselves have the Orianna, MF with Yuumi, and the more scary, in my opinion, a Yuumi attached to an Aatrox.
Yeah.
Both sides definitely have very scary forces to deal with, but I'm just gonna see only Vixen take a reset there. Both mids actually just kind of handshaking as Jacob and Girish rotating up towards the top side. I have the first move actually towards Rift Herald, so I have to see whether or not Bulldog use this advantage, and it looks like the answer is going to be yes.
Yeah, pretty decent to be fair.
Yeah, with Viper on the other side, you'd imagine that just goes down completely uncontested, to be honest. We are going to see a true shot barrage. Got this one out, I want to say. Ooh. And Jacob loses a lot of his HP.
Yeah, he does.
Comically,
kind of panics, gets hit by the cleave.
You could see he was like, oh god. But Yubi heals him up, the plants are there. Had a pot in his back pocket, so he's back to full HP, he's fine. And, I have to see where Bulldog decide to allocate the Rift Herald usage. I would like to see it towards mid if they can find a window. Specifically because I feel like it's going to be a really hard time cracking this mid tier 1, so any HP chunk they can get on it will be nice, but with the early one you kind of aren't too fast as long as you're getting the plate gold. As Kara now having to deal with the 2v1. Well, he's pretty comfortable down here. He isn't exactly the strongest of customers right now. They've got a lot of scaling up to do. So.
Definitely pretty cool, I think. And again, it seems to be fairly slow at the moment. Both teams kind of happy to just let it chill for a bit, you know, before it gets really spicy. First Dragon, no contest. First Rift, no contest. I was going to say, you got to be a bit careful there, Ezreal, not to get caught in the chains, but it's all good. We'll see the Rift towards the top side.
Fine, and Herald dropped here. You'd expect they kind of just crash it, give the gold over to Jacob, please. Or no, Foretell got it because he put it down. All right, I heard the gold noise. I'm hoping that I went to Foretell, but I didn't see an animation.
Yeah, a bit misleading, to be fair.
Yeah, it can be a little bit misleading, but like a minor misplay. It's not the end of the world, but you definitely would have liked to have seen Jacob pick up the gold. Okay, thank you, Joe, you beautiful human. So Foretell does pick up the 240 gold for his troubles. I
feel like, was that the plan though? I feel like maybe that.
No, I feel like they definitely wanted to put the gold onto Jacob, but could see a little bit of a something here. As both teams squaring up to contest the Cloud Dragon.
A Bulldog this time around. Not just going to give it over.
Not just going to give this one over for free. Yeah, Jacob did spot out the Death Brush with the Make It Rain too, so...
Yeah. Maybe Viperio are going to give this one away for free.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, they're comfortable scaling. They kind of don't care too much, to be totally honest, so... Gonna catch the wave bot, make it crash, take a reset timer. They're absolutely fine. Vixen didn't actually opt to shove the wave in. He knew where Bulldog were, as getting a pan out on the Mountain Rift. So Ornn and Jarvan, well actually all three of the tanky members on Viperio are gonna really love that dragon if Viperio can take a little more control within the next 5 minutes and start stacking those ones. But yeah, no, Viperio, again, just don't think I can alliterate enough that they're very, very happy just sitting here doing a whole bunch of nothing. You can see the gold values at the top is just about dead even too, so with double tier champions there, you'd say when you see scaling teams like this, they're actually happy. Oh, TP.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'd noticed that ward behind them. The Ornn coming in, the flash into the Cataclysm as well. First blood will come through, but looks like that might just be everything. Fat Mama does get actually a triple knock up and has to flash away. Nice shockwave coming in. More summoners being spent. Got to look at Vixen. Unfortunately, walked over 2 wards. Could have been a huge flank, but not going to be the case. A nice first blood comes through for Viperio. Finally, we break the silence 12.5 minutes into the game.
We break the silence, get a little bit of action. Saw TPs come down. A lot of commits right there. Nice flash Cataclysm from Viper. The ultimate, of course, stops him from being displaced by the Gragas ultimate, or just any CC for that fact, so... Doesn't actually get the kill credit. It's Fat Wambo with the TP down and the Ornn Horn to secure the kill. I feel like he definitely could have given it over to one of his carries, but you know what?
I feel like as well, they
could
have maybe got a bit more if we like watch it here. Was one thing that I noticed while it was going on. If he'd have horned these two rather than... But then it's kind of like if he doesn't horn for the kill, he's not even getting an assist, right? So
yeah,
he's maybe wasting his time. He's a bit too far away from his team, as you can see from like the flash out that comes in from him, right?
Yeah, and flash shockwave from Wins doesn't find his target. Does force out the flash from Hiei though. So he's gonna have to watch his back a little bit, but he's still Ezreal, has a Yuumi on his back most of the game. Has a lot peel, sorry. Got the... I've seen the lane so much, man. I just associate the two champions together at this point.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have to watch his back a little bit. Doesn't have the Yuumi on his back pocket to get him out of loads of sticky situations, but he does have a lot of front line, so... And use that as... Tower plating does fall. No more free gold to be had from either side, but Rift Herald, you'd imagine, is now going to be the next prioritized objective. We see both the bot lanes up in the top side of the map right now. Jacob and Girish looking like they're going to have the first move for now towards the river. They so please. It looks like the answer is yes, as Wins is given his, I want to say, first blue buff of the game.
I think so, yeah. But, I don't know, this Rift, I think, needs to be fought over, right? I think everyone can kind of agree with that at this point, so Hopefully we'll get a bit spicier. Ooh, Wins has got to be careful here. What is going on? Bit of a greedy back position. I'm not quite sure. They're going to get the kill. Yes, they will. The flash forwards as well. The shattering gaze. I'm not quite sure
you know
what the decision making was.
Some things just can't be analyzed. And I feel like that's one of those moments. I'm not sure if he was, you know, timing something, typing in chat. It's kind of hard to say, but with wins down, does spell a free Rift Herald for Viperio. And it's definitely big positive right there. You'd imagine they actually look to... I mean, if I was them, I would drop it mid right now. They've already got Wambo rotated up towards mid, but you can take reset times instead. And I mean, the Rift Herald alone would have probably just taken the tower. It's below half HP. But saving it for another day, perhaps saving it for the Mountain Dragon, spawning in 45 seconds. So far, it's been a relatively quiet game. Wins thinking to himself as he died, and then of course the bot lane play. That's been about it so far. There's virtually no gold in it. Pretty much 200 gold lead to Viperio is pretty much the kill they picked up on wins, to be honest. So
yeah,
there's not
I don't know.
much
It is.
in it.
It is definitely weird, but I think the thing is, it's you know, Viperio particularly, and I suppose the kills going their way is really good for them. But Viperio particularly have been very. We don't want this fight. Let's just back away. Let's not try and force it. Let's not try and, you know, push it our way or whatever it may be. They're just like, give that objective or walk away or whatever. But now, like you say, with this Rift Herald in hand, I think there is a bit more potential for fighting to come in, and now starting to, you know, really prioritize the objectives, getting some good spacing. And although, like you say, the gold lead is not massive, it kind of does feel a bit like Viperio are the ones with the momentum and the ones with the control of the game at the moment, albeit small, you know. And I think that kind of mind game is enough for Bulldog at the moment to just kind of chill and give that control away, even not contesting the dragon at all.
Thank you for the gold flicker right there. You can see that there really isn't too much in it between just about every single laner. I think at most there's maybe a 300 gold lead in... Well, there's 500 in the mid lane. I feel like that was pretty much just Wins missing the mid wave after he died.
Yeah.
Viperio definitely, again, you have to say they are the more comfortable of the two teams, right? Double tier scaling, and 18 minutes into the game with an equal gold values on both teams. They're fine with that. Gotta remember as well, the all items are going to start coming in soon too. So it is going to start increasing the sort of fate gold lead. We're going to have to hold that because Kara's in trouble.
Yeah, he's going to get dived here. Unfortunately, the flash comes through. Cataclysm is enough to finish him off. Just a bit too ambitious on the fight. Sure, you know, it was maybe a bit misleading in his mind because Fat Wambo took like 3 or 4 tower shots, but so much HP at the moment off the Catalyst and the upgraded Sunfire cape that it just doesn't really matter. You know, he's not that bothered to take a fight under the tower for a few seconds at least, and it sets up a very nice dive there for the Jarvan.
Yeah, and Rift Herald popped. Gonna pick themselves up the tower, you would imagine. There is actually some support around, so they might end up dying for this.
Yeah, Fat Wambo certainly is going to go down. TP coming in from behind as well to maybe, just maybe, catch the Jarvan, but Wins unfortunately goes the wrong way. Meanwhile, in at middle, this now leaves Kira, very, very exposed. He's going to get locked up completely and gets taken down. I think, judging by the noises that you're making, you feel like maybe he should just not have been there and given them the tower.
Yeah, I mean, you're sending 4 bot actually to deal with the Rift Herald play. Just yield the mid lane, man. You know, it's not
over yet. The Petrifying Gaze is going to freeze up onto the Gragas. He goes golden, allows for the kill to come through with the Yuumi, you know, on his back there. Not only does he have the movement speed, but you see the Ezreal try and come through with the True Shot Barrage. It ends up kind of the damage being negated by the Yuumi. So they themselves falling kind of to a taste of medicine, overstaying a little bit, and will lose their big money of that shutdown. I think maybe 500 gold there in the mid lane going across to Fortel. So
I want to say it was a relatively big shutdown. 250 is what I've been told in my ears, so 250 bounty. And yeah, I mean, Yuumi kind of saved that play with the exhaust. I feel like the Casio probably would have burned through Fortel's HP bar, or at the very least forced into Zhonya's, so he could have walked off. But exhaust slows him down, stops the damage. Play is good, but like you say, overstaying a little bit, but I feel like Kera is a little bit upset with those two back-to-back deaths right there, just not respecting the minimap and what exactly is going on. But next Mountain Dragon, up in a minute and a half. But priority from Viperio at the moment just seems like the top lane vision. Doesn't seem too fast as things are about the dragon. Don't see a single Bulldog ward right now on the Baron side. Oh, this is trouble.
That's a massive catch coming in. Maybe a little bit too confident. He kind of knew as well, right? Popped the Predator to just sort of, you know, run around and hopefully dodge skill shots if there's one guy here, but there were three of them. There were three of them waiting for him.
Yeah, there were a lot of people waiting in fog right there, and
yeah.
Wambo even TP's up to try and secure this, but it's not going down without a fight.
Ooh, that is a beautiful shockwave coming in onto the bullet time to allow for the double kill here for the MF. They're just trying to focus down the Baron. They will indeed get it, but at what cost? Fat Wambo, he goes down. Triple kill coming in for the MF. The remaining two members of the Viperio side able to escape with their tails in between their legs, but I mean, starting to get a bit more confidence back onto the Bulldog side with a few more kills coming in.
Yeah, definitely feeling a little more confident, but you still have to look at the gold lead, you still have to look at the fact that two members of Viperio did get out of the Baron, and most importantly is Hiei with the Baron buff on Ezreal. So you'd imagine once the Viperio members come out of the Death Chamber, they'll start walking around with him, trying to sync up the Baron wave, so we are going to get a replay as Fortel, I mean, he's technically alone, he has a Yuumi. That's not really a second, it's not a second body.
I think there's maybe a bit of miscommunication, right, because Girish had gotten off, started walking away. Yeah, maybe expect him to be there. Even then, it wouldn't have saved him, probably. But yeah, that is max range on like both ends of that shockwave, right? Really, really nice placement.
It really did just barely fit both sides. I think Viperio have learned a lesson from this Baron take, and it is that Bulldogs have a really scary team to contest Baron versus. The Yuumi ultimate, bullet time, shockwave, even the Gragas cask to a certain degree, of course, because of the displacement. And I mean, all of that with an Aatrox charging in, it's a little bit daunting. Viperio don't really have like true peel, right? They've, you know, the champions they have are better suited for, you know, engage. So it's kind of hard for these guys to peel out if ever they are in a situation where they're in a Baron or Dragon pit. So hopefully they take that into account next time they commit for a neutral objective, but they're on the top side of the map right now. They pick up the tier 1, but looks like another dive.
Yeah, it looks like another dive indeed, and it's going to be heavily successful. The Zhonya's does come through from the Gragas, but not going to be enough. Well placed from Jarvan to cut them off, and then, you know, Solar Flare as they're locked up in the Cataclysm. Then a Petrifying Gaze for good measure. Bullet time for the wave clear here, and actually quite a bit of damage.
That's a lot of HP right there. Yeah, I mean, the MF is still really strong. We should probably point out, he is 4-0-1. He hasn't really taken the brunt of any bad trades as mid lane Kera.
Yeah, everybody getting a bit greedy here, to be honest. Kera just, you know, hitting everything, able to lock up the Jarvan. Even with Viorn there, who I think was trying to maybe focus the tower down and then switch to the Aatrox. Didn't expect that damage, but he's got the Black Cleaver completed, right? He's going to rip through the armor that is available to the Jarvan.
Yeah. Aatrox is a pretty scary customer too. He hasn't quite finished up his second item, but like you say, the cleaver is kind of enough as things are. And actually, I wonder if Viper probably ended up taking some tower shots too, with the Cinderhawk active when he was attacking the tower. I'd imagine that's probably why he dropped. But Viperio just need to slow the game down a little bit. They're comfortable as things are. They don't really need to overforce things like that. They would have slowly have gotten that mid tier 2 anyway, as soon as the members of the top side rotated in, as see a little bit of the vision / heat map right now. And I feel like, for the most part, Viperio have done a pretty good job of securing vision where they want the priority. Is the reason why they ended up securing the first Baron so early in. But yeah, have to just slow things down now. There's no objectives on the map to take. You're just happy to sort of ping pong waves back and forth and until they can set something up. Both the Dragon and Baron spawning in just about 2 minutes and 10 seconds respectively of each other. So gonna be up at the same time, and both the Dragons will bring both these teams to Dragon Soul Point. So is maybe something that will be considered in terms of whether or not a fight will break out. Yeah, you have to see whether they which team decides it's worth taking.
Yeah, but I think the thing is as well, it's like you look at Viperio, and the longer this game goes on, the scarier their team becomes, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like Bulldog would probably want to prioritize objectives now rather than later, just to try and give them if
something.
anything, a cushion, or or maybe take the game.
Yeah,
it is getting to that point now where like a Baron could sway things, a good Baron fight and a Baron secure.
Yep.
Really
I feel like if Viperio are to pick up another Baron right here, there's a solid chance that they end it within the buff duration. Could be a little bit harsh for me to call, but as things are, Viperio do have a lot of control over this game right now, and thankfully have slowed things down. They're just catching waves, dropping vision, walking back into fog, and I think they finally understood they don't have to do much. They are the team with the better scaling, and the Ornn items are slowly starting to come in. I'm slightly angry that Vixen hasn't opted into any of the Ornn items right now, because it would be a pretty big spike. Each Ornn item is kind of roughly, each upgrade is worth around like 1,000 gold in value, give or take. Some of the support items are closer to like 600, 700, but most of the main items like Triforce, Sunfire Cape, they're all pretty big. So even though this gold lead is technically 2.5k gold, it's actually in value kind of closer to like 4.5k as things are. A little bit more than that, considering Ornn of course has 2 upgraded items. As engage.
Here we go.
Horn
into the Cataclysm. Beautifully placed once again from Viper. Solar Flare is dodged, and this is where it gets big for the MF. Look at the lockup. Look at the damage coming in. Haya is so low on the back line. We do indeed see the first kill coming through onto the Gragas. Nice find coming through. We'll see what Kira can get done. He's got to have that Yuumi on him, though. He will go down after assisting onto the Leona. Down goes Jacob. Yuumi now out in no man's land, but kind of being ignored, wants to help, but can't really. It's Wins who has to try and kite them away.
Wins for the grand escape right here. Does have TP. He's going to TP out. Or he's just going to base. It depends on how pressured he feels. Wambo's looking for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got the dragon regardless, right?
They've got the dragon. The important thing is they've got the dragon. It was a solid engage. Viper went a little bit far forward, but tanky enough to survive.
Gargoyles, man. Yeah.
One of the 2 sole survivors of the fight. Wins, makes it back to base. Yuumi walks up towards the top side, gets what vision she had left. They are going to get the replay. And Bulldog don't really have any vision inside of the river. And Wambo says, hey, alright.
Well, they do it at the very last second.
Yeah, very, very last second.
Just before he comes over.
But yeah, Gragas engage looks pretty promising at first, but I mean, he just gets popped immediately. The shockwave's pretty big, and so is the bullet time, but I mean, the front line here of Viperio is just so damn tanky. Stun plates, Ornn. No one really drops, and even Hiei doesn't get dropped by Kera by the sweet spot Q. And eventually Leona does go down, but he's trading his life for another. He doesn't care. He's happy to take that trade. Ezreal picks up the shutdown on the MF, so that gold goes into the Blade of the Ruined King finish. And overall now, Bulldog are going to be really, really pressured. They're just falling slowly and slowly more behind. You feel kind of just being choked out as the game goes on. And going back to the draft initially, I said Viperio, they're kind of just comfortable scaling. They've got the double, they had the double tier lock in, and Bulldog couldn't really find any kind of. Oh, I like this.
I do like it, yeah.
It's something that Bulldog don't even know what's going on.
We didn't touch on massively because it kind of, goes without saying at this point, but obviously Cassio is going to give you quite a good bit of objective control as the game goes on as well, right? In terms of, you know, just the amount of damage that she can pump out, particularly since the changes, you know, to Mountain and everything. She's one of the better champions at just, you know, as you can see there, absolutely mowing them down.
Yeah, of course. Because especially before the Elemental Dragon changes and the Elemental Rift, Mountain was quite the oppressive dragon, to say the least. There was a lot of comps that just shouldn't have been able to have taken Baron, and did really fast, simply because they had access to the true damage that Mountain Drakes gave. But this time out, Viperio, full ace in terms of having the Baron buff on them, so looking to spread it only across the 2 lanes right now. Kara did push out the bottom lane, so they don't really have that wave available to them. And Viper just shadowing close toward Vixen, is going to walk over towards mid, but staying in between the 2 lanes, I like, as Vixen now corralling this double cannon wave into top side. Hopefully the rest of the team try and come over, but looks like the wave is just going to be dealt with, but does mean some chip damage may come down on mid. And I mean, Bulldog are doing their best to try and wave clear this. They do have decent wave clear available to them, the Orianna, the long-range Gragas barrels. Can be enough, and they can throw down the ultimates if they're feeling really pressured about losing any kind of power or inhib.
It is a massive pickup though onto that Baron though. Yeah, we'll see. I think it will eventually, particularly if Jacob's going to get aggressive like that. Ooh, nice cask. Great cask to keep them away. They're not really able to do anything off the back of it. All the same, you know, the scariness is averted. No Ornhorn coming in, no decent Cataclysm attempt either. But there you are. They're able to keep them back, and without their ultimates, in all fairness, Viperio kind of just have to keep doing what they were doing.
Yeah, without the Ornhorn, it's kind of hard for Viperio
under towers,
to entirely commit for what feels like free to them. It would be pretty audacious for them to try and take a tower dive with no Ornn ultimate, so that Gragas cask may have just saved the base for the duration of this Baron buff. As Viper even gets forced out, and you'd imagine, yeah, reset's gonna come down. A successful base hold for Bulldog, and Viper just gonna come back out onto the map. Secure the bottom side of the Bulldog's jungle, and you would imagine, as things are, secure the Mountain Soul, but Bulldog may very well just have to try and commit, because, I mean, these Viperio champions with Mountain Soul, I mean...
Yeah.
Bulldog are finding it pretty tough to find kills in some team fights as it is. And adding the shield, adding the slight increase again off the Mountain buff, it's going to be a tough time. As we see now,
though, I mean,
Ward's just lid all in the river and shallowly into Bulldog's jungle, as here he is. Dragon is on the rift.
Yeah, they have the priority here as well, and again with that Cassie up here and everything.
Fight. Posturing
well highlighted as well. Bot side pushing in pretty heavily with so many caster minions there.
End up missing that wave. As
we'll see here.
Kind of not necessarily yielding. I think kind of just looking to pick their time. They know the bot wave's crashing. It would be really smart if someone from Bulldog right now just went towards mid and crashed the wave, but the rest of the team would have to back up, so they would get engaged on like this.
There it is. Oh, once again, Viper comes in from the side, and they're not ready for it. Huge Cataclysm. Down goes the Gragas. Surely, no, he's able to flash away, as is Jacob, pumping out the damage. The Yuumi on top of him as well to keep him alive. Flash forward comes through from the Cassio, and that's the damage that they were looking for. However, so far, it is only a 2-for-1. It looked like it was going to be a hell of a lot worse. They're able to survive a bit longer, and they're able to back away, lick their wounds, and maybe, just maybe, clear the waves. But as you said, as we were shown, the bot side taking an awful lot of damage. The top side wave now crashing in, so they're going to lose some objectives here.
Yeah, you would imagine. I mean, between Wambo and Vixen, they'll probably take the inhib. No one can really contest right now with the death timers the way they are. And... I mean, hands fully in the cookie jar right now, just committing to everything they can. Inhib, Dragon, mid. Gonna pick up everything, of course. They have the space to do so, so why not? And Dragon Soul is gonna end up in the hands of Viperio, and I mean... Boy oh boy, did things just get a lot tougher for Bulldog, and... even, I mean, if the game goes on for another 6 minutes, the Elder buff is another thing that you'd imagine. As soon as Viperio get that, the game's done. Game's just about done. I don't like ever calling games early, but this Viperio lineup with an Elder buff, I don't see many fights where Bulldog find just about any kill in reality. Viperio now posturing back over to the other side because, of course, Baron 30 seconds away. And Bulldog, I mean, they kind of have to just try and commit for this one. I feel like if they lose this Baron, they're just going to end up losing the game. So, tough decisions to be made right now for Bulldog.
Definitely is a tough call.
I don't feel like they can hold out another Baron siege. It just seems like too steep of a hill to climb.
Yeah. Particularly with the inhib already down, like it's just even more pressure really.
Yeah, it does mean Kara.
You ain't killing the Ornn 1v1 or even 2v1, right? You're gonna have to like send an entire team towards him if he decides to go in there with Baron, which is looking more and more likely.
Yeah. Gonna start off the Baron, and I mean, I don't think there's a single ward from Bulldog anywhere except for that blue that just got put down, but the control ward's gonna cancel it out anyway. And this is all just blind spots. I mean, the control ward's pretty much in a line 4 now. And I mean, Bulldog are just truly scared, looking for an engage Viperio, but I don't think much is gonna come of it unless there's a really hard commit.
No.
And I mean, if you're Viperio, just start up the Baron, man. Just bring them in. You want them to come into you right now. You're more than happy doing that. And I mean, Winds is gonna have to TP up. And I mean, this Baron's dropping really damn fast.
Yeah, it really does.
7K.
Like you say, they're gonna have to fight for it. TP to come through from the Orianna, down to 3k HP. You can see the Gragas going forward, trying to steal, not able to do so with the cask. Also takes so much damage for it. A big bullet time, but tank, by the way. The Cataclysm does finish it off, but all the same, huge shockwave. Unfortunately, there's no one really able to capitalize. He doesn't do enough damage. Kira with the stopwatch in the middle of the team. And that will be all she wrote. I think, yeah, pretty much everything that you had said about that team. You know, they scale brilliantly, but just getting the mountain, even without the mountain, they were so hard to kill. You know, you look to the Ezreal, you look to the Cassiopeia, they are going to dish out enough damage if they are untouched. Not an awful lot of dive to the backline from Bulldog as well. You know, the Aatrox, maybe if he gets ahead, but while he's even, it's very hard for him to just move through the front line. So, yeah, the Ezreal had a couple fights where it got dicey, but I feel like the Cassiopeia, very, very rarely did she go down without doing anything. Yeah. So just a really, really well-played game.
I would imagine
Viperio.
that Vixen ended up dealing the most damage in this game. Unless Ornn is a really broken champion, we never know. But yeah, between the pairing, just so much DPS, and with the front line to back it up, and realistically no tank killers on the Bulldog side. Yeah. Later the game went on, tougher it got, and the easier it was for Viperio to just slowly choke them out and close out the game.
Yeah, certainly. A really, really good showing, I think, from Viperio. It definitely was. You know, early on, some fights were maybe a bit shaky, but once they got past, I'd say, like, the thing is as well, it's like they waited so long before they started utilizing their comp, utilizing their individual kind of champions and damage dealers, that I think they didn't really have to weather a storm that we thought that they might have to, right? They literally just saw it coming from a mile away and conceded a few objectives here and there, and they were happy to do that. So really, really good stuff from them.